I have lost 100 pounds. And I could not be more excited. But this journey is not over. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be sitting here today, 100 pounds lighter, I probably would have smiled and nodded and, not believed you. Not because I didn't want to believe you, but because I'd tried before. I'd tried to lose weight and I'd failed before. I was tired. I was busy. I was stressed. A teacher, a pastor, a parent, a spouse. And honestly, I felt stuck. So if you're watching this video and you feel stuck, I want you to hear me clearly today. Change is possible. I'm going to say that again. Change is possible. You can change. Let me paint a picture for you. I was carrying way more weight than my body could handle. I was exhausted halfway through the workday. I'd get winded on simple walks. Everything would ache. My hip would hurt. My knee would hurt. My leg would hurt if I tried to walk very far at all. And deep down, I was beginning to wonder just how the rest of my life was going to feel. And like most of us, I had a whole list of reasons ready to go to excuse or justify anything that I was doing or not doing, as the case may be. I would say things like, I'm too old to make these kinds of changes, or I'm too busy teaching in my family. That was my favorite. I'm too busy. I don't have time to make these kinds of changes. Or, healthy food is expensive, or who has time to cook like that? I mean, the list goes on and on. Here's the thing. Those excuses weren't completely false. I mean, there was some truth to each one of them. And that made them feel permanent, made them feel unavoidable, fixed in place, if you will. I needed to change my mindset. I needed to move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset and stop focusing on the problems and rather start looking at the possibilities. The real reason that I stayed stuck wasn't my age. It wasn't my job. It wasn't the number of zeros in my bank account. It wasn't even my schedule. What kept me stuck was my belief. My belief that change was for other people, but not for me. So what actually changed that made change possible for me? Look, I didn't suddenly wake up one morning with superhuman discipline, right? But what I did do is I made a simple decision. I decided to act as though change were possible, even if I didn't fully believe in it. I didn't know for sure that I'd be successful because I had tried before and wasn't. But I decided that I needed to try again. And that decision has led to a few very ordinary steps. Nothing fancy, just things like beans, oats, rice, potatoes, vegetables, fresh fruits. I focused on what I could afford, on budget-friendly staples, things that were not unreasonably expensive or cost prohibitive, things that I could find at a normal grocery store. Budget-friendly staples instead of fancy health store ingredients. I started walking, not right away, but within a couple of months. I started walking more, not marathons, not intense workouts, just increasing the base level of movement in my day. I started out by just increasing my step count. Could I walk a little more? I had some problems with my feet. They were painful. They hurt. It hurt to walk. So I went to see a podiatrist and he helped me with that. There were a few things that needed to be treated. And once those were treated, it's like I was unleashed. I started walking 8,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps a day. Eventually in June over summer break, I got to 20,000 steps a day. But none of that is where the change started. None of that is where the weight loss started. I lost over 30 pounds before I exercised at all. And it all started with my diet. The biggest shift of all was that I gave myself permission to be imperfect, right? It wasn't an all or nothing proposition. I gave myself permission to try and to fail and to try again as many times as I needed to until I got it right. There were no fireworks. There was no overnight transformation. There were times that it was boring. There were times that it was repetitive. There were times that it was very, very ordinary. But it worked. And it's still working. Before too long, the scale began to show what my life was already proving. And at this point, less than a year later, a month ahead of schedule, I've lost 100 pounds. I share that number with you because it's evidence of the fact that this works. It's evidence of the fact that I changed and that you can change too. This weight loss is proof. It's proof that someone in their late 50s, someone with a full-time job or two, someone who is juggling stress and responsibility, someone who has failed before again and again and again can still change. Listen, change is not reserved for those chosen few who have great discipline and strength. It's not reserved for the young. It's not reserved for the wealthy or the naturally athletic. I am not naturally athletic. Change is available to anyone who is willing to pay the price of consistency, to pay the price of not being defeated by failure, to pay the price of recognizing that failure is just a teacher that shows us how not to do something. Failure is an opportunity to learn. If you can embrace that failure is an opportunity to learn, then friends, you haven't really failed. You've just taken a class. Now, maybe you're not here to lose 100 pounds. Maybe your goal is something smaller or something entirely different. Maybe it has nothing to do with weight loss, but you do have things in your life that you want to change. Maybe you want to improve your blood pressure. Maybe you want to break a bad habit that's been plaguing you for years. Maybe you feel like you want to just be better at being inside your own skin. Maybe you want to walk a little more or eat a little more intentionally, or whatever your goal is. The principle is the same. Big change is built out of the building blocks of small changes repeated again and again and again over time. Listen, you don't need to do everything all at once, right? You don't need to implement every part of a program all at the same time. I started by tracking my food and then by transitioning to a whole food plant-based diet. And then like 3 months later, I started walking more. I didn't really start exercising until I was well into this journey. I didn't try to do it all at once. I knew that if I tried to go on a whole food plant-based diet and track my food and walk every day and exercise all the time and get enough sleep and get enough hydration and, that I wouldn't be able to do any of them consistently or well. So I started with just a few things. And for me, that was focusing on my diet, the foods that I chose to eat on a regular basis and tracking those and weighing myself so that I could see the results of what I was doing. You don't need to do everything all at once. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to start stacking those small choices in the direction that you want your life to go. Let me call out a few lies that keep people stuck. You ready for this? These are some lies that people tell themselves, people that mean well, people that could do well, but they've believed some untrue things. Let me call those out. Lie number one, if I can't do it perfectly, it's not worth doing. The truth, imperfect action beats perfect intentions every single time. Let me say that again. Imperfect action beats perfect intentions every single time. Lie number two, If I don't see quick results, it must not be working. Here's the truth. Your body and your mind begin to change long before the scale catches up with them. So be patient with yourself. Line number 3. My past failures prove that I can't change. That's not true. Your past failures prove that you tried, not that you're incapable, but that you tried, that you put forth effort, that you didn't just sit there and complain about your circumstances. You actually made the effort to do something about them. That's meaningful. That's a success in and of itself. Look, if you're breathing, then you're not done. Your story, this sounds cliche, but it's true. Your story is still being written. So don't put down the pen. Don't give up. Keep writing your story. Unlock that next chapter and see where it leads. Maybe there'll be some failures there. That's okay. Failures are the stepping stones that we walk across to follow the path that leads to success. So if you're thinking, okay, fine, you've convinced me, but what do I actually do? Let me make this very, very simple. Pick one small change, just one, that you can stick to this week. Maybe it's swapping out one meal a day for something whole food and plant-based. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's drinking water before you reach for a snack. Not saying you can't have the snack, but have the water first and give it a few minutes to see if you were actually hungry or maybe just thirsty. Maybe it's getting more rest by just going to bed 20 minutes earlier. Start with something that is small enough and achievable enough so that you can succeed at it. And then do another small thing that you can succeed at. And you'll begin to build confidence in your ability to change because you've accomplished those small goals. This is how real change happens. One ordinary choice at a time, repeated over and over and over again with consistency. This channel, Losing It 2025, exists because I wanted to document this entire process. The wins, the challenges, the budget meals, the normal days, the moments where motivation alone wasn't enough. People say, Ken, you are so determined. No, I'm not that determined. They're like, oh, you're so disciplined. No, I'm not that disciplined. Friends, I'm desperate. I was desperate for change. And that desperation helped me to find discipline and determination. This channel exists as a record of the road that I have traveled. If you need encouragement, if you need ideas, if you need advice from someone who's walking the same road as you, stick around. We're doing this journey together, step by step. I have lost 100 pounds and I could not be more excited. But this journey is not over. I am still technically obese. I don't want to be obese. I want to be a healthy, normal weight. And I'm going to be working towards that. I'm in the process right now of making new goals and making more plans that will help me achieve those goals moving into the future. And I hope that you're willing to be a part of that. Before you click away, I'd like you to answer one question. And it's this. What is one small change that you are willing to make this week? Not in a year, not next month, not eventually, but this week, right away. What is that one small change that you are willing to make? Put it in the comments. Name it. Tell us what it is. Lay hold of that change by making a commitment to start it this week. Don't procrastinate. Don't delay. Do it this week. You'll be glad that you did. Listen, make this something real. Make it meaningful. If it's something that you've already started and you're making progress on it, then let us know that too. I would love to be able to celebrate your successes, even the small ones. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be fast. You just have to keep going. Just don't quit. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. Change is possible. I'm living proof, and I'm cheering for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.